She knew every gesture, every line, everything about that movie. I mean, by heart. It was scary. Like, it was amazing to watch her. So I've seen Some Kind of Wonderful many, many, many times, only because my ex-wife used to love to watch it, and I used to love to watch her perform it. So anyway, that's another one. But it's really kind of amazing to watch my ex-wife watch Some Kind of Wonderful. All right, so here are some of the ones that I know by heart that I've seen. Scarface, Brian De Palma's Scarface. Seen it 8 million times. Bunch of times in the theater. There was a period of time where I was watching it all the time, and everybody went through a period where they were imitating, hey, fuck you, that whole thing. Say goodnight to the bad guy. Everybody did. So Scarface, Blowout, Brian De Palma's Blowout, a movie I've seen millions of times, one of the greatest movies ever made. And Justice for All, another Al Pacino movie. Know that one by heart too. I just love that movie. The God damn it scene. God damn it, where he says God damn it like 12 times. I used to act that out. I love that movie, and Justice for All. Now, we have the holy trilogy of comedies. This is anybody who's around. I'm 56 years old. A lot of guys my age. These three movies, you know them by heart. And that would be Animal House, Caddyshack, and Stripes. I know every line. Everybody, I can't tell you the number of guys, especially my age, who know every single joke and every single line of those three movies, the holy trilogy of comedy, Animal House, Stripes, and Caddyshack. I've often said, for years, I said that if you're at a party and you're around my age and you want to break the ice, you don't know anybody, just start throwing lines out from Caddyshack and watch the responses, and you'll get to know somebody in 10 minutes. Midnight Run is another one. That's probably my number one remote dropper. Whenever it's on cable, if it just started, if it's in the middle, if it's ending, it doesn't matter. I will drop the remote and watch Midnight Run, one of my favorites, one of the best and most entertaining movies ever, and I've seen it a million times. Dawn of the Dead, the Romero version, obviously. I've seen that movie a million times, know every line to that one. The Breakfast Club. Reevaluating John Hughes, he made a lot of shitty, relatively offensive movies if you go back and watch them. And I'm not trying to, it's not cancel culture or being woke and fuck you with the whole, you're being woke and cancel culture, blow it out your ass. Go back and do yourself a favor. Go back and watch 16 Candles. And if you're not deeply offended by the misogyny in it and the racism in it, then you're a moron. Breakfast Club has a little bit of that, but I've seen it a million times. I know that one by heart. Point Break. I spent a week hanging out with Gary Busey. Of course I watch Point Break every other month. 48 Hours. Oh, my God. Legendary. Speaking of Walter Hill, The Warriors. The Warriors in 48 Hours. I've watched director Walter Hill, one of the greatest American filmmakers that's ever lived, one of the greatest action and genre directors of all time. The Warriors in 48 Hours. I've seen both of those movies a million times. Blue Collar. Paul Schrader's Blue Collar. Yaphet Kotto, Harvey Keitel, and the great Richard Pryor. One of the best and most important American movies ever made. I've seen it a million times. Barefoot in the Park, one of my parents' favorite movies of all time. Grew up with that one, know every line of dialogue of that one too. Jane Fonda, Robert Redford, absolute classic, unbelievably funny. Robert Redford, by the way, one of the best comedic performances in film history. He's brilliant and hilarious. Barefoot in the Park, another one. Speaking of comedy, Slapshot. I mean, come on, Slapshot. One of the greatest sports movies ever made, one of the greatest comedies ever made. I'm a huge hockey fan. Of course I've seen Slapshot 9,000 times. So Slapshot. The Dead Zone. Christopher Walken's best performance. One of David Cronenberg's greatest movies. Clearly his most accessible. It's the saddest movie ever made, too. Truly is the saddest movie ever made. Johnny Smith, that character, is the saddest character in film history. I adore that movie. Saddest movie of all time, and I adore that movie. Every frame of it. It just destroys me every time I watch it. It's scary. It's funny. It's really intense, and it's unbelievably, heartbreakingly sad. And Walken, it's the best performance he's ever given. Lost in America, of course, all the Albert Brooks movies I've seen a million times. Lost in America the most. Lost in America I know by heart. The Odd Couple, Barefoot in the Park, like that. Neil Simon, I know every line of The Odd Couple. Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, two of the greatest. they've been in a lot of movies together, but I don't think they've ever topped the original Odd Couple. I mean, there's so many things. Now it's garbage. Marie! The whole, are you through with the discussion? Because he could have hanged himself out in the hall. So all that stuff. The Odd Couple fucking rules. And I've seen it 8,000 times. Real Genius. Classic movie. Val Kilmer. It came out in 1985, and it was one of those movies that snuck under the radar. Didn't do very well when it came out at the box office, but it has since become a classic. It is, people love that movie. And I've seen it a million times. It always reminds me of my late friend Joe Donatello. Always. And the best use of a Tears for Fears song ever. Also features one of the many asshole 80s performances from William Atherton, who is the biggest jag-off of 80s movies. But yeah, Real Genius. I know every line of it. It is a classic, brilliant movie. Okay, here's a great film about best movie ever made about divorce. One of my favorite films of all time. Shoot the Moon with Albert Finney and Diane Keaton, Peter Weller, Karen Allen, Dana Hill. It's an extraordinary movie. Alan Parker directed it. One of my all-time favorite movies of all time. It's a very beautifully acted, very heavy, intense divorce drama that for some reason a 17-year-old me became obsessed with. People were running around, going to see E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark and shit like that. I was going to see a divorce movie with Albert Finney and Diane Keaton, and I've seen it a million times. Shoot the Moon, one of my ultimate favorite movies ever. Used Cars, my opinion, funniest movie ever made. I know every line of dialogue from it. Robert Zemeckis' brilliant comedy. Kurt Russell, Garrett Graham, Frank McRae, dual role from Jack Warden, Joe Flaherty. It is a phenomenal movie, the funniest movie ever made, and I can't tell you the number of times I've seen it. I've screened it at my film club twice. That's how goddamn great it is. And Robert Zemeckis, one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time, and it's the funniest movie ever made. Here's one that kind of slid under the radar, Shattered Glass, which I think is one of the greatest movies ever made about journalism, based on the true story, and with Hayden Christensen and Chloe Sevigny, Peter Sarsgaard, Hank Azaria. One of the best movies ever made about journalism. Kind of snuck out there in 2003, and I watch it all the time. Especially for Peter Sarsgaard's performance. Peter Sarsgaard is amazing in Shattered Glass. A great film. All right, so here's the top 5. These are the 5 movies that I've definitely seen the most. These are the 5 movies that I could recite front to back, back to front, that I know every line, every pause, everything. These are probably also the movies that I've seen the most, at least the top 3 or 4 are the one. These are probably the ones that I've seen in the theater the most as well. So coming in at number 5, the movie that I've probably seen the most. Number 5, Glengarry Glen Ross. Directed by James Foley. Mamet wrote the script. I mean, the cast is fucking unbelievable. It's my favorite. It's my second favorite play of all time. My favorite play is Angels in America, but my second favorite play of all time is Glengarry Glen Ross. It's a perfect play. David Mamet's one of the greatest playwrights of all time. And although the Alec Baldwin monologue at the beginning, the Coffee is for Closers monologue, is not in the play, I still love it, even though I think it doesn't need to be there, because personally I think the play, which does not include that opening monologue, is a perfect piece of work, a perfect play. But it's great. And everybody in that movie, Jesus Christ, Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, Kevin Spacey, Alan Arkin, Ed Harris, Jonathan Pryce. Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable. And again, a lot of guys see that movie because, there's all the dialogue. You get, they say fuck 9,000 times in it, so that's cool. But yeah, Glengarry Glen Ross, an amazing movie, one of the best Mamet adaptations ever, and a movie I've seen a million times and I know every line to it. Next, Dazed and Confused. All right. There was a period of time for a few years in a row where every Thursday night my friends and me would be at the Bruin View, Vic Theater, Belmont and Sheffield, every Thursday night at midnight watching Dazed and Confused. Loved it since the first time I saw it in September of 1993. It's just it's a perfect movie. All right, all right. I mean, everybody in it, a bunch of people who became huge stars. You want to talk about discovering a bunch of amazing young talent and putting them in a movie. Richard Linklater, written and directed by Richard Linklater. It's a perfect movie. There's absolutely nothing that is not fucking great about Dazed and Confused, from the cast to the script to the style to the direction to the goddamn soundtrack. It is a perfect movie. I saw it a million times in the theater and a million times at home. Dazed and Confused, one of the greatest movies ever made, one of my very favorites, and I know every line. Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. I mean, what can you say? It's the movie that made me love movies. I had seen a ton of movies, and I was getting into movies big time, and it happened. I saw John Carpenter's Halloween at a very critical time. 13 years old. It was the first movie where I realized what a director did, and I knew that whatever I did for a living, whatever I wanted to do with the rest of my life, it had to have something to do with movies, and I knew that the moment I saw Halloween. Saw it a ton of times in the movie theater. I mean, over and over and over again in the movie theater. And since then, obviously, on video, on cable, on DVD, on Blu-ray, all that stuff. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, ever. One of my favorite movies of all time. I was lucky enough to interview John Carpenter a few times, met him. It was a dream come true. Halloween, I know every single fucking... I watched it again. Halloween was just, about a month and a half ago. Watched it probably 3 times during that period. Know every line of dialogue, still watch it. Okay, Mad Max Fury Road. I saw Mad Max Fury Road 3 times in 2 days on opening weekend. 3 times in 2 days. Saw it again in the theater. I can't tell you the number of times. I think I saw it in the theater probably 14 or 15 times in the theater. And I can't... honest to God, I've lost track. Movie came out in 2015, so it's 6 years old. And in that 6 years, seriously, I don't know how many times I've seen it. It's a perfect movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Mad Max Fury Road, directed by George Miller, featuring incredible stunts, action scenes, chase scenes. It's fucking perfect. It is a perfect movie. It's jaw-droppingly good. It's astonishingly well made. It's cinema. It's fucking cinema. It's exciting. It's ball-breaking. It's amazing. There are things in it that you can't believe you're seeing. The actors in it are fantastic, especially Charlize Theron as Furiosa, one of the greatest characters in cinema in the past 40 years, easy. I love the fact that it's a feminist action movie and that George Miller put the women first, front and forward in that movie. Furiosa is the main character. Tom Hardy's fantastic as Mad Max. Awesome stuff, but it's really Furiosa's movie. I can't wait to see the prequel with Anya Taylor-Joy. But yeah, Mad Max Fury Road, I mean, if you know me, you know... I mean, Jesus Christ, there was a period of time when I was watching it weekly. And like I said, opening weekend in 2 days, I